Hello and welcome to the second episodes of the Special Features Podcast, which is our Workshopping Humanity podcast where we kind of recap what's going on in the media landscape at the moment. This episode, we are talking about festival season as well as afterwards going into a little bit of the strikes and what's continuing to affect the industry with the strikes, like the movement of Dune. We did record this the day before Telluride. We mentioned that in the podcast, but there's further developments now within all of the festivals. So, when we get back, we're going to talk about those further developments and our TIFF reactions and all of that fun stuff. So, yeah, just stay tuned.
And now, our feature presentation.
Hello, welcome to the second episode of Special Features, a Workshopping Humanity podcast. And today we have a lot of stuff to go over since our last show, which was about, I think, 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, we covered Barbenheimer stuff. Some things are carrying over there, but today is really about film festivals, I believe. Um, Tomorrow is the start of Venice, which is going to end up kind of kickstarting festival season. So we're going to go over some of the movies we're anticipating, and then also talk a little bit about what happened with Dune and the continuing strikes. So that's kind of the layout for today. But first, we have a guest. Say hi, Jared.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, and we might have other people pop in during the chat, but right now it's just going to be Jared and I chilling. So we're all good with that. So yeah, let's go. So first off, since last time we were here, I've seen a few movies, so I just wanted to go down list of some recent releases, and Jared, you can hop in as well for this.
Mm-hmm.
So the movie I watched right after we filmed this, literally the next day of the last episode, was Haunted Mansion. And it's funny because in the other episode, we went through Oppenheimer for 30 minutes and Barbie for 40.
Yeah.
And, Haunted Mansion is going to take about 2 minutes of time to discuss because it was not very good and made no cultural impact.
I haven't seen it yet, but it's one of those things where I'll just I hate to be that person, but I'm fine with it. I'm sorry again. I'm fine with waiting to watch it on Disney Plus in October. Get in the really spooky mood to watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's just a few issues with the way they marketed that movie. Number one, I barely even knew it was coming out until it was out because they didn't market it very well. But number two, why release it the week after Barbie and Oppenheimer in July? Nobody has the spooky spirit yet. Even if they released it today, I think it would have done a lot better.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Doesn't make any sense. But regardless, if it had been a good movie, it might have done significantly better than making what $60 million.
Mm-hmm.
It's rough. Overall, there's nothing really to write home about it, which is probably the worst thing about it. It is just another kind of feels like studio obligation movie where they're trying to make a franchise out of something and don't really understand the original source material. And yeah, I mean that's about all I have to say about it. The other movie I saw between podcasts was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem.
Yeah.
Which Jared also saw. So we can talk about this for a moment because it's a great movie. And it's one of my favorites of the year so far. I mean, I'm about to go to TIFF, so that list is going to change significantly. But this one is up there for me. I just thought it was a completely delightful little film, and it has that Spider-Verse Puss in Boots adjacent look to it. But I think actually does something interesting with that look. It looks kind of rustic and it looks kind of gnarly in the way that the original source material did, which I am a big fan of. I love the original TMNT. So this gave me everything I wanted it to. And I really enjoyed it. Jared, what are your thoughts on TMNT?
So I saw TMNT for my birthday at this fan event, whatever, because and they had, of course, behind the scenes before the movie started of the director talking about it and whatnot. And it was so cool to me, the director and the team being yeah, we designed the animation is purely to look like a teenage boy's notebook in between classes. And you can totally tell from even the explosions being if you really pause and take a look, are just scribbles, really, like do like scribbly lines. It has this kind of edgy dirtiness to it that I thought was really cool for New York City. It's just one of those things where I'm like, every middle school teenage boy is required to watch this before they go back to school because they would love the hell out of it. It's super sweet. It's super fun. It's a good coming of age story. I think it's just like Spider Verse. I think it could easily inspire the next generation of kids to be like, oh, I want to do this. This is fun. I want to draw weird creatures and have celebrities voice them. And yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. That is, I love how unabashedly like creative and goofy it is. It has absolutely no pretension to it. You know, it's just like, yeah, these are mutant ninja turtles. They're having fun. There's giant creatures at the end. Um, I think it's something that like I loved it now, but like if this movie came out when I was 10, it would be like my personality forever. You know,
oh
it's
yeah.
so cool. Yeah.
And then you have Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross doing the score. So automatically 10 out of 10 points for that. Like,
Legitimately Oscar worthy score.
yeah.
Will it happen? No, of course not. But is it worthy? Absolutely. When we do our like end of the year like lists, it'll definitely be in contention for my list for scores for sure. Um, I guess overall, it's actually like I keep my list updated and stuff like that. I have it in
Oh,
like
yeah.
8 categories right now. Of course, that'll probably change as I see more movies, but like it's very good. I mean,
Oh, yeah. I would still highly recommend if it's still playing near you guys.
absolutely. Other movie I saw, I won't have much to say about is Blue Beetle. Um,
Oh, yeah. Haven't
so
seen
look,
that one either.
so look, a lot of people like this movie, and that's fine. I just vehemently disagree with your opinion. Um, I understand and I appreciate the Latino representation in the film, and I'm really glad that people are resonating with that. But outside of its representation, I felt like it was just a very typical standard coming of age superhero story that we've seen over and over again. I mean, to the point where I literally think Marvel has a lawsuit that they could file potentially for them stealing so many things from Spider-Man: Homecoming. It was insane, but just making it less interesting. And I don't get the hype for this movie. I really don't understand why people are like, "Well, this is a good DC movie." Like this is with the rest of them. Oh,
Yeah.
honestly, like I liked Shazam too, and The Flash more. Yeah, I
Whoa.
think both those movies are better. I'm not gonna lie. I had more fun with both of those movies. So
Okay.
yeah, that's a steaming hot take, but that's my take.
Yeah. I mean, I can like allow you to say like Shazam too, but The Flash is such a steaming pile of garbage. Like one of the worst movies of the year. I don't know. I haven't seen Blue Beetle yet, so I can't like debate with you on it.
I'm not
Um,
saying that it's good. I'm just
yeah.
saying that I liked it more. I had more interesting things in it for me.
Eh, I do want to say just a fun question put out there. This movie was kind of like the start of James Gunn DC universe. Does that make you worried, or is this, I guess, was just more like when he inherited the universe, he had to put this out, right?
Yeah, no, it doesn't make me worried because he didn't pitch this movie. This was made before he was involved. He just said, "Hey, we're going to take this character and make it a part of the universe." The character's likable enough. I could see a more established group of writers doing something fun with the character. I don't have any issue with him. It's just the movie itself. So like it doesn't make me concerned about James Gunn's overall universe because I mean nothing about that movie feels like a James Gunn movie, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, those were the recent releases between then and now. So now what's kickoff into Venice. So
Uh,
a lot of movies are coming out of Venice, and we have a lot of trailers coming out. Jared and I were talking about a few of them beforehand. Um, so I think the biggest one that came out today was Saltburn.
oh my gosh, let's set aside time for this because yeah, enjoy the hype, you guys. I'm so excited. At the time of this recording, Telluride also starts tomorrow, which honestly I think has one of like the best lineups at the film festival this year.
Maybe
Um,
the
yeah, I don't know. We'll just yeah. Um, But yeah, it's getting to that season. Trailers are starting, first looks are starting. Almost every day, there's like pictures from a different fall festival movie we've been anticipating, and just so much fun. Especially after the huge blow all the film fans suffered with Dune Part 2 being moved. It's still nice to have these days. There are other movies that are coming out this fall. Not everything is moving. You still have things for the next 4 months to look forward to.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, what was interesting about Saltburn, because like I really don't know much about the film outside of Emerald Fennell's next film, and I really liked Promising Young Woman. I think the movie's great. Um, but watching this trailer, I think what immediately astonished me was its cinematography, the way that it looked. Every single shot was so luscious, and it reminded me of like a darker, seedier "Call Me by Your Name" type of aesthetic for sure. Like, and I love the way that movie was shot. So like I'm just like kind of astounded by the way that it looks. And I apparently the movie's gonna be real controversial, and I'm very interested to see what the conversation becomes. I don't know if this is like the Babylon of this year or like if it actually ends up doing some
Yeah.
strides with the Academy Awards. I have no idea. It could go
Well,
either way.
we'll see tomorrow when first reactions out. Telluride. I'm nervous, but I'm still gonna be so hyped for this, like I was for Babylon next year. Last year I mean to say. I will say, to me, the movie, if I had to describe some of the movie, it's very much Call Me by Your Name meets Babylon. That very much feels like the style of the movie. Um, I don't know. I'm hyped. I think a lot of the controversy will be like a lot of the cast of characters are going to be like this insufferable group of rich people, and so how far I think the movie's going to play with how far are you, the director, Emerald Fennell, how far are you going to take your sympathies, or are people going to check out because all these rich people are just jerks and not going to care? I don't know. I'm still so excited. Barry Keegan is so good. Jacob Elordi is getting some very good indie projects after Euphoria, which is so good because I think it'll show his range more. And he's got Priscilla that he'll be able to promote this year because A24 is great, and they agreed to all the SAG terms, so he can promote that this fall season. Yeah,
Yeah, it's so interesting to see what some of these projects like end up becoming Oscar projects. Like, because like Priscilla's still there too. You know, you never know
yeah,
about that. I mean, I hope Kaylee Spaney gets in. I think that'd be fantastic. That's a whole other side.
yeah,
But yeah, I'm really excited about Saltburn. We got a picture from the bike riders, which
yeah.
is just
One
amazing.
picture.
Which is like the coolest shot ever of like Austin Butler on a bike, and I just wish I was 1% as cool as that picture.
So
Um,
yeah, so what's interesting is the movie The Bike Riders is based off like a picture, but not like a picture book, like a kid's picture book, but literally like a book that's like pictures of motorcycle gangs in like the 60s and 50s. And so that picture, I think the pictures are also in black and white as well, so it looks like straight lifted up from the book. And so people are also wondering if the whole movie is going to be in black and white, which I think will be another interesting thing to see, to look forward
please,
to.
please, please,
Yeah.
it'd be so cool. This is like one of my most anticipated movies of the rest of the year. I really like Jeff Nichols. I think, Jared, have you seen Mud?
I have not yet.
Okay, that's a very Jared Core movie that you have to watch like as soon as
Nice.
possible. Like that is something you're gonna love. Like it'll be one of your favorite movies. It's
Nice.
great. It's really great. Um, and I think Midnight Special is really cool. I actually have never seen Take Shelter, which is like his most popular movie for some reason. So I'll get on that as soon as I can. But this reminds me of like 60s Americana, American Graffiti, Easy Rider type beat. Like I feel like it's gonna be kind of like a hangout movie as well, which is like my cup of tea, my favorite movies. So
Yeah.
or even like the Last Picture Show type of beat. So like I think this is
Oh
gonna be
yeah.
like one of my favorites of the year if it ends up delivering because it looks great. I wish it was coming to TIFF. I wish it was coming to any other film festival. Like please,
Yeah.
but maybe they'll this is like maybe the anticipation will be good.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, Another movie that's coming up at all these film festivals that's my most anticipated year is All of Us Strangers. Is what's been really great for me at least is like you see people and I start to be like, are we underestimating this for Oscars? And just kind of slowly generating this type of buzz. I think it's a really unique story as well. And you have Paul Mescal, everyone's favorite like guy right now, and then Andrew Scott, who's also a really good actor,
Yeah.
telling this story that's like a romance, but then dead parents are coming back to life, and kind of this weird mystical ghost tale, but
Yeah.
delivered very realistically. There's no trailer, just photos and a poster and some teases from like film people who have seen it for film festivals, like film directors and whatnot, that say it's good. And so, very, very hyped.
That the poster's gorgeous. It is one of the prettiest posters I have seen in a movie for a long time. I love it. I let's it's director Andrew High. Is that his name? Or
I think so, yeah.
yeah. I'll fix that in post if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
but
Andrew Hyatt. Yeah.
yeah. I was telling Jared this that a few years ago I watched the movie he directed called Lean on Pete. That's whenever I had so much time. I watched like 150 movies in 2018. It was great, but I loved that movie. I thought that movie was so overlooked and so like soulful and thoughtful. And Charlie Hunnam was great in that movie. So I'm anticipating to see what this guy does next. I know he's also done Weekend in 45 years. Like he's been a pretty accredited director. He's done a lot. So I think maybe this is his time to like shine at festivals. Like maybe
Yeah.
this is breakout. You know?
Also, people, another movie that I feel like people even like in Oscar spaces are kind of underestimating is Fingernails. Is getting
Yeah.
into all these film festivals. I had it's at TIFF. It's at I think it's at yeah, it's at Telluride and it's gonna be at TIFF. I know George was saying earlier it's at his Nashville Film Festival. I feel like it's kind of popping up everywhere. Um, I don't think it's gonna be as big as like oh Best Picture, but maybe like I don't know. It's showing up. People are liking it enough to play, and it seems like a really interesting sci-fi concept. It reminds me a lot of another Apple movie called Swan Song with Mahershala Ali that kind of got very underlooked that I really really loved. So it feels like a great pickup for Apple, and kind of in that same vein, kind of a tale about technology and romance, and a cautionary tale of relying too much on technology instead of following your own human gut. I think it's gonna be really great. I also feel like it's gonna like break me. So
Yeah, it very much feels like an Eternal Sunshine of Spotless Mind or a Her type beat. If you know
oh yeah,
anything about me and my favorite movies, you know that that's what that is very highly anticipated for me. Jesse Buckley and Riz
Riz
Ahmed.
Ahmed.
Come on, like
Yeah,
that's perfect. Like, come on. So it's coming to TIFF. I have it in my plan right now. It's going to be the last movie I see at TIFF. So hopefully
woo.
it's off on a high note. But I'm excited for it. Yeah, it's definitely. And apparently, from what I heard, is the director of the film is like a protege of Yorgos Lanthimos. So if that's anything, it'll be kind of a wacky vibe too, and I think that's pretty cool. I could be wrong on that. I think I heard that somewhere.
Yeah. I
But
know this is like his first English language film. I think he's a Greek director. He made a foreign language film called Apples before. That I think I remember reading something like Kate Blanchett saw that movie and wanted to help make Fingernails, like help produce it or something like that. I don't know. Could be reading that wrong, but yeah.
yeah, it definitely seems like it's because I heard about apples when it came out, but like never got around to watching it. And it feels like this is going to be like kind of a bigger step, you know, to
Oh
give
yeah.
its name more attention, which would be cool.
So Kate Blanchett and her husband are producing Fingernails. So yeah, I guess I read that right, which
Sweet,
is cool. Yeah.
yeah. And then I know Ferrari's coming out of that Venice.
Woo. I think that premieres tomorrow as well in Venice.
Apparently has a very violent sequence that they explain in a very interesting way. I'm like, I need to like go on a Michael Mann type of marathon and watch more of his movies because I really haven't seen any. I don't think, which is a big blind spot for me. But this movie is very interesting to me. I think the idea of it being that viscerally violent is interesting. And I know like everyone like apparently Heat's like maybe the best action movie ever made. So obviously he's got a helm in that department. And Adam Driver's the main character, and Adam Driver's like maybe my favorite actor working today. So I mean, I think it could be something. And I honestly, genuinely kind of have it floating around. Like I think I could get into picture. I really do.
Yeah,
Especially if the buzz is really good on it and the talk is really high on it. Like I'm
and
like, why wouldn't it?
it's a neon Christmas Day release, so
Yeah, come on.
it's so interesting because the trailer also dropped the day of this recording, and it makes it seem like so much more of like a family drama in terms of like Adam Driver and his wife losing a child and like focusing much on that. And then if it's true that we're gonna have these like very violent, graphic car crashes, it's gonna be interesting to see the mesh.
It's definitely an uncut Jim's Christmas Day type of beat.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
It always is like a Christmas Day release that's like the most depressing movie or most like graphic movie. Like I remember Wolf of Wall Street was a Christmas Day release and stuff like that. Yeah.
And then also we got like TIFF releases coming up, and so The Boy and the Heron is another movie I think could potentially end up doing very well. And I mean, it is like it's going to be Hayao Miyazaki's last film, and I know people are like, well, he always says that. He's 91. He's not making another movie. Like I think here's my prediction. Here's my prediction. What's going to happen to Hayao Miyazaki? I think he's going to start working on another movie, and he's going to die like halfway through production. I know this sounds a little morbid, but like, let's be real, he's 91. And then someone else is going to pick up the rest of it, and so you're going to have like a weird conglomerate, like AI, artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what's going to happen, something like that. But Boy and Heron, regardless, is opening night for TIFF. I'm like, it came out in Japan, and I've been reading some of the reactions of the people in Japan. Some people are like, this is like one of his best, and some people are like, it's not Spirited Away. But when you're Hayao Miyazaki and you've made classic after classic after classic film for the last 20 to 30 years, you're always going to get lauded with that. There was people who are like, oh, well, Fablemans isn't Jurassic Park. Like, come on. Like,
Yeah.
it's still the Fablemans. So, I'm excited for The Boy and the Heron, and I genuinely still think that it is an Oscar player in ways that people don't anticipate yet.
Yeah. I don't want to hype you up. I don't want to hype you up too much. I did hear a David Lynch comparison for this movie. Like that is kind of like like it gets weird. I've heard. Yeah. So that's gonna be exciting.
As it should. You know, it should get cerebral and weird.
And then for me, you know, I've grown up with Studio Ghibli like all my life. I might have uncles who are into anime, and so just Kiki's and Totoro. That's my jam, my life, whatnot. And so I'm used to like the same images and same style following me. And so it's so weird that that same like world, that same art style of a Studio Ghibli Hayao Miyazaki film, there's another one to be told this year. Like it feels wrong, it feels weird, but in a good way. I'm so hyped.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people thought that The Wind Rises was going to be his swan song because like it feels like one. You know, at the ending of that movie, you're like, okay, well, this is where he's going out. He's like, you know what? I made my art. Hopefully, I haven't ruined the world. But like, I'm glad he has another story to tell, and apparently, this was like a very important story for him to tell. But my thing that I thought about the movie is, yeah, it is opening night TIFF. It is the hottest ticket of TIFF, except maybe the Stop Making Sense showing. Like, you know, tickets are going to like $400 to $500 online right now on Ticketmaster. We hate Ticketmaster. Anyways,
Yeah.
what if it wins People's Choice? Why wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, like if it's completely agreeable, if people end up really liking it and are really moved by it, and it's Miyazaki's last film, how is it like I kind of see the path for it becoming People's Choice, because like I'm trying to think, like a lot of people thought this was going to be The Holdovers. The hype on The Holdovers, so
it's kind of not there.
It
could be just me. I feel like Mexico Wins is probably second place if I'm remembering all the TIFF movies. That's a possible choice, and I'd probably place Holdovers as third.
So look, apparently Holdovers is like a great film from people that we know that have seen it already, and it's like probably top 5 anticipated for me the rest of the year. It has that ordinary people type of beat that I love, or Dead Poet Society, that type of aesthetic. But I'm on the TIFR website, which is like a TIFF scheduler, and you can tell what's going to be the most popular movies by the amount of likes that something gets, which is like people are following the film. And well, the Holdo was like at like maybe 700 the last time I checked. And I'm like, that's interesting because if this gives you any comparison, I think The Boy and the Heron's the most popular one at around like 1600, and then something like Anatomy of a Fall is like 1300. A Zone of Interest is like 1100. So like 700 something is like, can this get enough traction to win people's choice? So it's made me think of maybe going in a different direction for my choice. Now that being said, there's been films before. Like I think Belfast wasn't that huge of a deal for people until it premiered at TIFF, and then like just kind of won over audiences. So that could happen still, but like it's interesting.
Yeah. We are forgetting a very popular like contender though that like we need to spend time to talk about, and that is Dick's the Musical. I can't even. I know it's so anti you, Brett, but I feel like seeing it with a Midnight Madness crowd would be like the best like 2 hours of your life. Like just being like, what the heck is this? It's such a what the heck is this?
I'm tempted because Tristan got a ticket to the midnight screening. I feel like he bought one. I was like, okay, Tristan. I'm considering it. I have 10 polls. It's sold out right now. I have 10 polls that I can do for press. It's definitely not my top poll.
Yeah.
If it comes around, I still have an extra spot. I'll be like, okay.
And
cool.
and if not, it comes to theaters late September 29th. So push comes to shove, see it like at Disney Springs when you come back.
Dude, people are like paying $186 for tickets for the midnight showing now. Like,
I get it for that vibe, but no.
Yeah, but the vibe also can be there for Ben Wolfhardt's new film.
That's true.
And
oh my gosh, that's
new
exciting.
Harmony Korine.
Oh god, I'm okay with not seeing that in my life. My eyeballs are fine.
I think it's like it's on my list of one of my polls I might get. I think it's like my 10th on my polls, but I have it on there. I'm curious. I've always been curious about Corinne. I've seen several of his movies, and I haven't loved one of them, but I found them all interesting. Like Gummo.
Oh yeah.
Such like it's unlike anything I've ever seen. It's really interesting. I understand why people love it. I don't, but like I was intrigued by it, and then I thought the Beach Bum was just kind of bad, but it was still interesting. So I don't know. I just like I'm always interested in what he has to do. But I don't think I'll resonate with it. Also, I hate Travis Scott, so there's that.
Yeah.
But we'll see. But yeah, and then of course we got like Anatomy of the Fall, Zone of Interest, which I'm wondering which one will end up kind of becoming the one out of the fest that ends up being the Oscar favorite of the two, or if they both end up kind of coming along with the whole ride.
I definitely see maybe more Anatomy of a Fall. That seems like a more accessible like thriller versus everything I've heard about Zone of Interest is like it's so art house. It's so art house. It's so just you're seeing daily lives of these people and like it's more of a meditative experience. Kind of like if I had to pick one, probably Anatomy of a Fall.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like that's going to be the more audience, and it also like it won the Palme d'Or over Zone of Interest, which is interesting.
And I mean, last year, I didn't really feel like Triangle Sadness was going to get in for Best Picture, and then it did. So let's see what Neon can do this time with Anatomy of a Fall. If they can get that in.
And the buzz for Anatomy of a Fall is there.
Yeah,
it's there. Like 1,300 people. It's a hot ticket at TIFF right now, and it's coming to New York as well, right?
Let me check my list. I think so. I think that's the one that's saying the big three. Yeah, Telluride, TIFF, and New York.
Yeah, I think they're gunning for that. But it's interesting. I wonder if Neon will also get Ferrari in there. I wonder if they'll have two. They're powerful enough at this point to do that.
Yeah, they have a good year this year.
Mm-hmm. Because it's like eight. I wonder if A24 will get anything in. That's the biggest thing too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I have no idea. Also at TIFF, Stop Making Sense 4K restoration with David Byrne in audience.
When
I might cry.
when do you know, like, or when can you like officially get your tickets so you can say like, hey, I have them now?
September 3rd at 10 a.m.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Sending
Tristan
good
and I
vibes.
have the exact same time slot, so we're gonna like Zoom and try to get them.
Nice, nice,
Yeah,
nice.
so, which is actually a really good spot. It's like one of the first spots you can get. So
Yeah.
we're crossing our fingers that it works. Yeah. So, and then like, yeah, oh, New York also has like the creator, which could end up being something.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, I haven't heard that.
Yeah, yeah, the new Gareth Edwards, the creator, right? Yeah.
I just personally haven't heard it. I haven't heard
Wait, what?
that. Oh, I'm checking if it's at New York Film Festival.
I thought I saw it at New York.
Yeah, nothing's popping up.
Hmm.
Anyway,
Am I crazy? Am I crazy? Did I? Wait,
unless you saw like a rumor or a prediction that might surprise.
let me look quick. Oh, I'm wild. Okay. Mhm. Nice. I should just keep this whole thing in. Oh, also, friends, George is here. Hello.
Hey.
Can't see you on these parts.
Hey, I apologize. I came in late because I couldn't keep my eyes open. I fell asleep.
Oh no, you're fine. It's all good. I've
Yeah.
been there, believe me. Yeah, we discussed movies that we saw since the last podcast, and now we've
Mhm.
just been talking about festival movies. So we went over a lot of Venice stuff. We are talking about Saltburn and all the strangers and bike riders and all that, and then we're just talking about TIFF stuff.
All right.
So my question for you, for us to join this conversation, we were talking about the holdovers.
Mm-hmm.
Both Jared and I are skeptical about it getting into people's choice at TIFF at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, because so I have an account on TIFR, which is like the TIFF scheduling app,
I think I know where this is going.
and it has like maybe 700 likes versus like Anatomy Zone and Boy and Heron, which have like over 1,000. And so like I guess my question to you is like, should we be concerned about that not winning people's choice?
I don't think it's unfair concern. I do think though, someone found through just looking a few years ago, Green Book was not in the top 10 for the short list, like the holdovers is now.
Okay.
I think it's also worth pointing out that, I mean, TIFF starts in like what, a week or
week.
two?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a week. Yeah.
No, it's crazy to think about. And the holdovers is premiering as of right this moment tomorrow. There is a world where the holdovers just gets really strong reactions at Telluride, and from there the shortlists just start boosting up from there.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because a week is like not much time. So well, I mean it's not much time, but it's a lot of time relatively speaking to what we're talking about. If the holdovers just gets really strong reactions at a Telluride, then they can just boost up. I think that's something to keep in mind.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, because like, and I even said like I doubt that Belfast was that popular going into TIFF as well.
Let me find out actually.
Yeah, because I'm very curious about that. Because I remember like it being like maybe the 15th slot for us for a little bit, and then it won tip. And we're like, oh, okay, well, it's actually going to be a thing. So I'm very curious.
Well, it's not quite how I remember it. I think I remember people talking about like the movie beat like before everything. People started kind of like hyping it up. Let me look for what you're talking about. Actually,
I just got to start a podcast about McDonald's lore.
Did you see? There was like a McDonald's in New York that got transformed into like an '80s McDonald's with Loki season 2.
Yeah, it looks really cool. I would love to go.
Yeah.
What I'm because you know how they're doing like the whole like decades of McDonald's thing where
Yeah.
they're like showing like the different McDonald's in different movies.
Mm-hmm.
They're not showing the clip from Yee, and I'm like, that's like one of the iconic McDonald's. It's like what?
I know they show like Fallen Angels. Like there's like a long like trailer showing all of them.
And they're showing Fallen Angels and not Yee, and I'm like, Yee is like I would say more popular than Fallen Angels.
I'm just surprised they even like have it like on the bags and like listed. So I might give them credit for that.
It's cool, but like they should have Yee listed with here. Like, come on.
okay, so I didn't. I apologize.
Oh no, you're good. No worries.
Yeah, you're good.
I was looking through Discord logs to see where I had heard this. It's not super concrete, but someone just said that like they compare this like in like a slightly outdated version of of this year's list, TIFR list, to the People's Choice for the past few years, going back to 2018. Only 2 of the 12 like top 3 for TIFF People's Choice were not in the top 10 for the short lists. One was Green Book, and the other was a Canadian movie from a couple of years ago that placed.
Oh,
I think in the Belfast year. So Belfast probably was top 10. It could have had a similar, a rather similar thing as I'm talking about, where it just premiered at Telluride. More people caught on to it, but yeah, I you know, I'm not gonna say that's not a worrying sign, but I don't think it's a nail in the coffin necessarily.
Yeah, it's just because it is Alexander Payne. I mean, he's established, and he ends up getting into the academy in ways that we don't anticipate. It seems like.
I mean,
outside of like Paul Giamatti not getting in for Sideways, because that was still a very weird thing to happen.
I mean, I think people saw Nebraska coming, but I don't know.
But regardless, George.
Yes.
What are some of your most anticipated festival movies? We've probably talked about a couple already, but like I just want to get your input on some anticipated festival movie titles.
Well, Saltburn teaser released this morning for me. I need that movie like crack.
Yeah,
I'm sure you guys have talked a lot about that one.
Yeah, we talked about the trailer a little bit for sure.
Poor Things.
Yes. So we haven't talked about it yet.
Poor Things. Oh my god. That I have like watched that teaser like repeatedly for the past like few months.
That movie could end up being huge. I really do think at this point.
I agree. I think
Emma Stone, let's go for that Oscar.
we've talked about this a little bit. I think the Searchlight is putting the movie in their Venice slot that they had last year, in their Banshee slot, I should say.
Interesting.
They're kind of they're positioning it like they're sending it to Venice, and they send all their top dog movies there or to TIFF. usually speaking. And sending Poor Things to Venice is kind of telling if you really think about it.
Mhm. It's interesting that's going to Venice and New York and not TIFF. I think that's very.
Mm.
Yeah.
The
It's gonna-
favorite did not go to TIFF either, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
in
know
Venice,
about-
Telluride, and New York.
Interesting. That's very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, some may point out that like it did originally have a release for that was supposed to be next weekend, but they're now moving to December because there are strikes.
You
I think it
think,
could work in their
Although,
favor.
yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say like, I mean, I don't know how much that actually matters, right?
I kind of wonder if they use the strike as an excuse to push it back because they thought they had something.
Maybe.
Like, cause
Yeah.
because for me, like, Poor Things does not seem like a movie that would like be that affected by stars not being able to promote it. Either way, or the
Right.
other. Like, the audience for that movie, like, this is how I always picture movies that are affected by strikes like this. If they could go on Jimmy Fallon and promote the movie, if that would actually sell more people on the particular movie that they're selling. For me, Poor Things is not that movie. I mean, I think that they would go out probably to Fallon or Kimmel or whatever and promote the movie, obviously. But I don't think like a typical common person's gonna be like, "Oh, I'm gonna go see Poor Things" because that person is in it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of think that the December release is telling that they think that they have something, which would be interesting because that'd be a really weird out of the box best picture potential. And I'm thinking of
Yeah.
a neat type of way that didn't work for that. But like,
See, I don't get. I'm thinking of anything with Poor Things. Maybe I did like way earlier, but I have read parts of the novel and I've kind of looked into what it actually is. To me, it honestly doesn't really seem that much outside the realm of like Guillermo del Toro. You know what I'm saying?
interesting.
Yeah. Like
Well,
it's
they
not. It's not like it's not any weirder than Pan's Labyrinth, in my opinion.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, potentially, like, because they've been very nice at genre films lately, anyways. They could end up doing
Yeah.
a real campaign. I mean, I think, like, this is another conversation for another time for your podcast. I just don't see anything being able to overtake Oppenheimer this year. But,
I mean, I've talked about this.
yeah, for sure. But, like, I'm just wondering how these festival movies are going to play out. Because, like, Jared and I were talking about this earlier. We were talking about how there's going to be some of these things that just end up bombing, and we don't know what that is yet. We have to look for that too.
Right.
And these things, below that will end up rising, and we just have to look at that. Like, one of my most anticipated movies of the year and of the best is Evil Does Not Exist.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Hamaguchi's gonna like make it into like picture again or anything like that, but like, hey, you just never know because people didn't think Drive My Car would be anything,
I think he just he is concerned not so much with appealing to Oscar voters, which I think is fine.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm excited for the movie. I think it's going to get good reviews regardless, but capturing lightning in a bottle like that twice, especially in that specific way that Drive My Car did, it's not always the easiest thing to do.
Well, and Drive My Car just seemed very unconventional about how it got into picture. It almost like it happened on accident. I love it. Like, I absolutely love it. But like, it premiered at like Cannes and stuff like that, and people thought it was great.
Yeah.
But like, it wasn't really like on people's radar until towards the very end of the fest.
Well, the movie did win a prize at Cannes. A good one with screenplay. Evil Does Not Exist. I think one thing it would need to do if it's going to recreate that same success is it needs to win a prize at Venice. Maybe like a screenplay or a director. I don't like. Maybe it can win the Golden Lion. I don't think like an American movie is gonna win this year. maybe leaning towards something like The Beast from Bertrand Bonello winning. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. The French movie with Léa Seydoux and George Mackay. Something like that. Maybe like I mean, Evil Does Not Exist. Maybe that could win.
Yeah. What about Ferrari? I'm just curious.
Okay, so Ferrari, I don't get the best vibe from that movie. I mean, Michael Mann is a director. I mean, obviously he's made Heat and Manhunter and Thief that people love. Lately, he's not really been on a good streak. I admittedly have not seen anything that he has made post Collateral. So I haven't seen Miami Vice, which has a cult following. I haven't seen Black Hat, which a lot of people really do not like.
Yeah, but that also has a cult following.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's as strong as like Miami Vice, and also I think people like that movie just generally less. And then I don't know, I can't remember what movie he made before Black Hat.
So many people love Miami Vice. I see almost like every other week something about Miami Vice. Like
it's a
but
Josie
also
the side beat.
Yeah, but also like I mean, the teaser. I'm just gonna say Neon knows how to cut good teasers because it didn't really sell me that much on the movie, but it did the best that it maybe could have done. What I'm going off of is there are some rumors that the movie did not test screen very well. And the trailer also seemed a little bit choppy to me, as if it's actively trying to dodge like anything that might turn people off from the movie. Like there's only like two moments of dialogue in it, and there's a lot of like music over yelling. Like I don't know. Maybe this is like not good Michael Mann.
Interesting. I wonder though if it was like Black Hat Michael Mann, if Neon would have even bothered with it.
See, I don't know why Neon went for this. To be perfectly honest, my theory, I guess, might be they need something like this on their slate that's big budget and from a big name director because they're like, hey, it might get money, right?
Yeah.
I guess you could say it's kind of like Criterion, getting Wally on the collection or getting Citizen Kane, right?
Yeah. It's like, well, I mean, because I figured that they'll end up having their player be Anatomy of a Fall since it's already won.
Well,
big title.
yeah.
So I don't. So, but like, I don't know. Jared and I were talking this before you came in. I have this like weird sneaking suspicion that like Ferrari just might like sneak into the race like suddenly in a weird way. I don't know why. I just have a weird feeling.
I don't know. Anatomy of a Fall. I mean, I have been talking this movie up for nearly like 4 months at this point. Saying like, I look at this like, okay, this movie has now like when the movie premiered at Cannes, I thought, oh, okay, like this could get international feature because like I watched Justine Trier's movie Seville for the Parallel Challenge. Not the biggest fan of that movie. And I didn't really think much of it. I think like I watched. When did I watch the Seville actually? Let me look this up. I just want to get my dates right. May 20th. And when did Anatomy of a Fall premiere? It might have premiered before I saw the movie, actually. No, it did not. It premiered on the 21st. So I am remembering correctly. I wanted to just kind of make sure. Like, I saw the movie and I was like, I don't know, the filmmaker doesn't really inspire much confidence. But then the movie came out that so I'm like, okay. And then you just kind of hear more people talking about Sandra Hüller in the movie. And her performance, I was like, okay, this is going to win Best Actress again, probably. Unless it wins a bigger prize, which it obviously did. And I feel like once the movie actually did win the Palm, people weirdly were like, okay, I'm going to put in Sandra Hüller now. And I saw some people be like, maybe this could get into screenplay. I can put this into original screenplay. And my mind kind of went like, you know what? Maybe that's not crazy. Maybe that's not crazy. Because because here's another thing about it too. Is like, and I said this at the beginning of the year, I still believe it. I think like at the beginning of the year, we all kind of just put on the people who we think are who just always get nominated every year. It's like, oh yeah, they're in. They're in.
Scorsese, Spielberg.
Well, those guys actually do get in.
Yeah,
all the time.
Well, yeah, just about at the beginning of last year we were all like, oh yeah, Babylon will probably win.
Babylon, yeah.
And obviously that doesn't pan out. Yeah.
Well, I'm also talking about like when people last year were really on to 13 Lives.
Oh yeah.
Like some people had that like top 5 and said like guys could win TIFF.
Or like people will be like, oh well, Us is going to get nominated because Get Out got nominated.
Yeah,
there's also that mentality. And it's like, well, just because someone had a breakout Oscar hit doesn't mean it's going to happen again.
Yeah. And of course, like with acting, I mean, last year, like I think most people said that Margot Robbie was gonna like win for Babylon. I wasn't saying that, but not to brag, but a lot of people were. And I remember before that people were like, "Oh, Jennifer Hudson's gonna get in for Respect, and Frances McDormand for Macbeth, and all this stuff." And it just doesn't really happen, obviously, because we haven't seen the movies. I get the mentality because we just I was like, "Oh, we'll just put these guys."
Even like people are like, "Oh, McDormand's gonna get nominated for Woman Talking," and she's like in 3 minutes of the movie.
Well, I smell bullshit on that one, like from the beginning. It's just that kind of thing. And like I see this year, like people were doing okay. People are putting on Jessica Lange for Long Day's Journey Tonight, which isn't even coming out this year anymore. That's been pushed next year, and like they're talking about like let's put in Annette Bening for Naiad, who feasibly could still happen maybe, or somebody like Kate Winslet for Lee, which I'm not so sure about that one.
I think Naiad could potentially end up doing something.
And then, well, we'll see about that.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm interested to see that one.
It's just like it's interesting because it's the free solo people, right? They're just like making a movie.
Yeah, but like
that's interesting. I don't. It could end up being nothing. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, but I think it's like general rule of thumb: just be very wary of documentary filmmakers switching to narrative filmmaking.
Yeah. I would love if Morgan Neville did that, though. I think he'd make a really interesting movie.
Maybe.
Yeah.
What's I about to say? It's just something that we kind of assume really early will just happen, but then they don't happen. And the ones who actually do ultimately get it are like people who you wouldn't initially think would have done it. Something like Andrea Riseborough, obviously. Angela Bassett is another example, and obviously all the Banshees boys, nobody thought that Colin Farrell was gonna be in for that movie, or you
Well,
know.
Barry Keoghan for sure.
Oh yeah, Barry Keoghan. Yeah.
Yeah, which now people think he might get in for Saltburn, so we'll see about that. But
Yeah, we'll see. I am not high on Saltburn's awards prospects, despite me being anticipated for the film.
yeah, I think cinematography. maybe script-
I have it in like screenplay, and that's it. I think the movie it just kind of reminds me of Us in a way, where like Get Out was so like big, right? People
Yeah.
loved that movie. They saw that movie, and uh, Us was on people's radars, and it was like, oh, this is good, but is it Get Out good? Is it Get Out good? I feel like we're gonna get a similar situation here.
I
Where,
think what's interesting about that is the fact that I feel like Saltburn is a completely different, like it's a 180 from what she was doing in Promising Young Woman.
Mhm.
So it might end up getting its own identity. Get Out and Us are very much.
It
like,
looks very different stylistically for sure. I mean, which I mean, there's a lot of very obvious changes there. I mean, Promising Young Woman, that movie looks very polished in a very studio movie way, which I don't think is a knock on the movie, obviously, if you know me. But I it's digital, and it's very like the actual like camera work and the cinematography of the movie. It looks very very studio, very clean, with the like not in a way a David Fincher movie is, obviously. Like I don't want to like misconstrue here. Saltburn, I mean, you can tell it was shot on film.
Yeah.
Like through the lighting, it's also film grainy and stuff, and of course, like the aspect ratio is big into like what it looks like. It's like using the Lighthouse aspect ratio, 4:3. So it looks very different stylistically, and also just like where they're shooting it. And Leah Sandgren is shooting Saltburn. This is the guy who did La La Land.
and Babylon.
And Babylon
Yeah,
influences are there. I told when I was hanging out with like Tristan and Ian yesterday, I told them the Vanity Fair article had something really interesting about Saltburn in terms of Emerald Fennell was talking about the estate that the story takes place in.
Yeah.
The only like how they got the permission to film on there was like, yeah, you can film here. You can't just tell anyone like the location or like the name of where it's at, where that estate is at, which I found like super weird, but
Yeah.
it's so interesting.
That's bizarre. It looks gorgeous though. Like
My only thing was
Yeah.
maybe in case the movie really does become popular and people like try and find it, and so they don't want the people who own that estate probably don't want people to come and find it and like take pictures and invade their privacy. That's my best guess.
I
Yeah.
think it could be the case. But it's interesting that it's not like production design. They found the place. That's cool.
It looks so grand. So excited for that movie.
That looks cool.
Yeah.
Something I do want to get into also while we're
Yes.
here. So, unfortunately, these strikes are still going on,
Correct.
and the negotiations aren't going too well. And because of this, the result of this, Dune 2 got moved back to March of next year,
Hey.
and
Well, this is my birthday month.
yeah, well,
Oh, see, that's good.
It's also my birthday month, so
I will
What?
say, March way too crowded now. Some movies gotta move. We got
Way
Quiet
too-
Place. We got Dune.
Oh,
We
yeah.
got Snow White. We got there's just too much there.
So number one, what I want to say before we get into this, is to the AMPTP. Screw you guys, like legitimately.
Yeah,
Like,
get your crowd together.
Are
Do
you
you
kidding me about this? Like,
Do you know I saw today that Bob Iger is like, I don't know why people are vilifying us in the media. It's like you're so out of touch. That's what they are. It's
So dumb.
I've said it before. There was a really good I forgot her name, but she was like a comedian. She was in the after party, and she was like on a podcast, and she was saying the real thing is these billionaires, they don't sweat like us, they don't walk among us. They literally have no clue in their minds why they have no
100%.
reason to connect with us. They're so high up in the clouds, they really cannot fathom what all these writers, all these actors are going through. It's making no sense in their brains. Now it's just like how we convince them like what to do. I don't know.
Look, I have to be careful because, as you know, I work for the Disney company, and I also now work for the Comcast company. So I always have to like tread lightly. That being said, like I've I've known to be in the past as a Disney apologist when it's come to something, but I understand it to a certain extent. I love the company, um, the opportunities it's given me, and then just genuinely what it became under Walt. That being said, that being said, I've always said this: Walt Disney's business practices were awful, and they have continued and continued to be a part of the company up until this day today. I mean, like if you read into the history of Walt Disney, um, his workers went on strike way early, and like Walt. But what the interesting thing about that is like Walt Disney was like, "Oh, these are my friends. Why are they going against me?" You know, and it was like essentially they were like, "Well, Walt, like they have to afford to eat. So that's what's going on." And so essentially he was like, "Okay, well, we'll construe that." Like he just saw them as like, "Oh, we're just friends and we're hanging out, so I don't have to pay them too much. Like they just like being here." And they're like, "Well, no, we still need to live." What I find more nefarious about Walt, and I'm not trying to defend that. Like that's a dumb mentality. Like I will never agree that Walt Disney acted that way. What I find more nefarious about Bob Iger is like there's no like, oh, we're just comrades in this. Like it's essentially him being like, yeah, no, they don't deserve more money. Like that's essentially what's going on here, and it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that like these studio billionaires are taking private jets to meet up with each other and talk about how their writers are being entitled. Like the plot's right there; it writes itself. Like it's insane. Um, the other night I was at Hollywood Studios and watching the fireworks show. And they play clips from all the different movies from Disney and whatever. And it hit me as I was watching this. I was like, these are all written by people who probably had to work a second job while making this movie. That is insane. It is absolutely insane to me. And so like as annoying as it is that things are getting pushed and delayed and moved once again, it needs to happen. Like this is a reckoning that needs to happen, especially with I think workshopping humanity. A lot of us in this project want to be in the industry in some way, shape, or form someday. Like that's a lot of our goals. So I think it's most important for us to stand by this. So like we want to have to work 16-hour days. You know,
Yeah, like that one division dude. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the whole. Thankfully, this is another thing we get into. Marvel's going to unionize their VFX artists because
100%.
apparently the head of VFX at Marvel is like was like an awful person. Like, but she actually got, I believe, don't quote me on this. I believe she got laid off. The person that was VFX of Marvel while WandaVision was going on, because like I know that there was someone in the visual effects department of Marvel that like people hated, and they essentially went, "Oh, we have to have this person leave, or else people will not stay on these projects." And like straight up, if you look at the Marvel movies recently, it makes sense that they're rushed. They look rushed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For real.
So
That's
Multiverse of Madness. Oh my god.
yeah. Or
yeah,
Thor Love and Thunder.
oh yeah, that was bad.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It yeah, and the sad thing too is like WandaVision was the first project back from COVID I can remember, and so there's probably like so much pressure probably for that poor guy to let's get back something back from COVID. Plus, this was probably still very peak COVID, so he probably went to that office being like, "Great, hope I don't get COVID. I'm working 16-hour days." just crazy insanity. I hope he's doing okay now. At least some sort of resemblance of okay.
Like a really like heartwarming, honestly, story that I heard was about the production of a movie that we talked about a little bit earlier, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem. Um, like Seth Rogen was like, it was very important for us that the workers felt like they were at home and that they were making good art, and like we let them go home if they needed to go home and stuff like that. And that movie looks incredible. It looks so good. Like,
Yeah,
because we see the like Spider Verse thing where people were apparently just worked like dogs in that movie, right?
yeah,
And of course, that movie looks amazing, but at what cost?
yeah.
Well, at what cost? Because I'm sorry, TMNT does not look just about as good as Spider Verse did. So like, why not give your animators more time to their families and more great? Because then people are going to be more enthusiastic about working on your future projects if they're not being worked like horses.
Well, I mean, it just kind of goes to show, like, you see a lot of people who say, like, oh my God, you're giving these people welfare and you're giving these people, like, benefits. Like, it's gonna, like, social security and stuff you're guaranteeing for them. Like, kidding me? This is gonna make people lazy. And it's like, no, it actually makes people, like, want to work if they know they're gonna get something in return from it.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, if I'm a VFX person or an animator or an artist, I think if I go work, I'm like, okay, I do have my welfare, I have good pay, I can 110% for the next 5 hours just focus on animating this scene for the next Spider Verse, and I can
Yeah.
focus on my art on that instead of worrying. Oh, hold on, I only have $15 in my bank account, so am I doing lunch or dinner tonight? This
Yeah.
week, that brain, just pay your artists and don't use AI.
Yeah.
I hate this AI
Yeah,
stuff that's copying the background actor stuff. Scary as all hell. And I don't know if you guys seen the Chris Tuckman video about the AI, and he was talking about the Ben Affleck and Matt Damon story about how they got started being background extras on Field of Dreams. If they were trying to work today, and they would assume with scan their likeness and just not go anywhere after Field of Dreams, like that's scary.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. It's like I joked. I made this joke like a couple weeks ago. It's like they just saw all those AI presidents memes, and it's like, okay, let's do that, but with a feature film.
Yeah,
it's just like it's absolutely like ridiculous. Like we know, like AI. I'm not fully against using AI to do things, but like don't use AI to replace anybody. It should not be a replacement. It should be a tool. And for it to not be a replacement, you can't use it for any actors. Like, don't put it in anywhere in acting, and don't put it anywhere in writing.
Yeah.
Where AI can be used, in my opinion, is concept art. If you want to make concept art for a movie and you want to use AI to do that, then I think it could be a really helpful tool to kind of help visualize maybe what you want, right?
Yeah.
If you're doing something like if you want to make the next like Dune or whatever, and you have like all this like 150 mil at your disposal, and you're going to use AI to kind of help like visualize what your world is, then like that's perfectly like fine and dandy. But like an AI cannot write a screenplay. You cannot use Chat GPT to write a screenplay. You just can't. You have to have like writers who actually want to, who actually like have an idea. They have something they want to say. AI does not have something they want to say.
Yeah, it's not a human being. And again, it's just like we always joke that there's movies that feel like they're AI generated. Like for me, Black Adam, that is the most AI generated movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Feel like there's anything behind it. Imagine if every movie you saw was Black Adam. That's what it would be like if AI wrote everything.
Well, I haven't seen Black Adam, but I'll take your word for it.
That's for me with the Flash, to be honest.
Yeah, but like you see, like the Flash had more personality than Black Adam. Like just to be completely honest with you, it's like I'm talking about like there's like a very few lists of movies where I'd be like staring at the wall would be more productive use of my time than watching that movie. And
Yeah.
Black Adam is on that list. Just
Yeah.
because I got nothing from it, and we get a lot of movies where you got nothing from because there's no talent behind it. Essentially, it's just a computer machine. That being said, my question for you, because I think this is what's interesting. So Dune's moved, right? It's in March now, which March is gonna be crazy. Snow
Right.
White is gonna be the biggest movie ever. Everyone's gonna watch it.
That's a whole other can of worms.
It's
But
a whole other can of worms.
but
But,
honestly, it's gonna be going up against the Quiet Place prequel and Mickey 17. So like, oh
They're
my
probably
gosh,
gonna move it, to be
they
honest.
have to, yeah.
well, to be honest, let's see, Quiet Place prequel, Mickey 17, Snow White. None of those are going to make a ton of money opening weekend. Like, it's not like one of those is a blockbuster.
I could argue
They
Quiet
should probably
Place.
move though. They should move though.
Yeah, I mean, they'll capitalize on each other a little bit. Not capitalize, cannibalize each other.
They could make
Yeah.
Barbenheimer one of those movies.
Yeah.
We're not gonna get the success of Barbenheimer.
Oh, March
a
also
long time.
is Elio, it's Fall Guy, it's Kung Fu Panda 4, Quiet Place, Dune, Snow White, Mickey 17, and Ghostbusters 2. That's all.
Yeah. At least half those movies have got to move.
And well, are you guys ready for Saw Patrol?
That's not happening.
People are
I'm
trying
gonna
to
put this out there. We are never getting anything like Barbenheimer for many more years. Because Barbenheimer was kind of happened on accident too. Universal
It was internet.
Put it in the same weekend as Barbie to spite Warner Bros. That's literally the only reason it was put in that weekend. But the internet just made it a big thing, and everyone was like, "Oh, let's do Barbenheimer. Let's go see Barbie and Oppenheimer this weekend, guys."
When it started to become a news story, I was like, "Oh no, this is going to be something."
It happens it was an accident, guys. You're not gonna recreate that on purpose.
It's crazy because it might end up being the biggest cultural event of the year when it's all
with Dune gone, 100%.
Yeah, no, but I'm not even talking just about movies. I'm talking about cultural events. Can you think?
What else is there?
Yeah,
right?
I will say I would love if we can get Burn Writers started, aka Bike Writers and Saltburn, which are both coming out December 1st.
Okay, but my question. Yeah. So Killers of the Flower Moon now is going in theaters, right?
Well, it was always going to go.
Yeah, but isn't it it's going wide in IMAX?
It was originally supposed to do limited run October 6th. Now it's just wide October 20th.
So how do you guys think that movie is going to do? Wide.
So I am
question.
A little more positive and hopeful after Oppenheimer, aka the 3-hour epic that is mostly people talking, makes so much money in terms of a mainstream sense. I'm never gonna say oh, there's no way it makes money. It makes $2. I don't think that's gonna happen. I think that crowd could come again, especially if they're oh man, I miss these types of adult movies. You go see Killers of the Flower Moon in October for that same exact feeling, an historical epic that's adults, and yeah.
I think Scorsese, at least in certain demographics, does not have the same box office reach that Nolan does, is my big thing. I think Apple needs to really sell this movie to people. Which, the people who are going to see it will go out and see it. And I don't think it's going to be nobody. But I certainly don't think it's going to be quite as successful as Oppenheimer. Will it do better in theaters than The Irishman did or The Wolf of Wall Street? I mean, probably. Just, Irishman, we don't know what the box office numbers for that because Netflix is, weird about that.
Because Netflix just doesn't like to make money for some reason. I don't.
Yeah, and Wolf of Wall Street was a very late year release. This is October. But
Am I crazy, or did The Wolf of Wall Street actually make a lot of money?
what it probably made a decent amount of money. I don't think it's like
I could be crazy and say the maybe third wrong thing that I have said on this podcast tonight. I remember it being like an over $100 million movie. I don't know if I'm crazy.
I don't know if it's over 100 mil. I don't think it was over 100 mil.
Let me look it up real quick.
I'm looking it up too.
I'm very curious. Yeah, it made 116 million domestically.
Oh, okay. So
I remember that really capturing the
yeah,
cultural
you're
impact when it came out.
all right. Well, I'll take the L on that one. Maybe then this won't do as well. I don't think it's going to bomb. I'll say that. I don't think it'll bomb.
I have a couple of theories about how this could go. I think the 4-hour runtime is going to be hard for people. I know that people are sitting through longer movies now. Is it 3.5?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's 4 hours. Let me double check.
I heard at one point it was 4, but like.
So Google says it's 3 hours and 26 minutes.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's close.
They probably cut it down. They cut it down probably.
Okay. Well, okay. So maybe my original point. Because I was about to say, like, I just don't think people are going to like rush out to see a 4-hour movie, even though people are getting better at seeing 3-hour movies. Which, I mean, love it or hate it, is an in-game effect for sure.
Yeah.
The reason 3-hour movies get made now is because the in-game is the highest grossing domestic, whatever. I think like here's what I'm theorizing. Number one, I still think Leonardo DiCaprio is probably a draw for a certain audience, but also like he's not going to be promoting it obviously that much.
Yeah.
The whole writer thing. So that is also like, well, I don't know if people will know. But something that I've noticed is like how popular this book actually is. Like I see a lot of people reading Killers of the Flower Moon. Like I'll see like Instagram posts of people who are not film people, like just that I follow. That's like I'm at the beach and they have out an open copy of Killers of the Flower Moon. I'm like, oh, okay.
Not sure if that's a good beach book, but
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying I'm seeing it. I'm seeing that happen. So I'm just like, huh. If this ends up being like, look, I'll say the same thing about like a big book was also Where the Crawdads Sing, and like obviously that wasn't a huge box office hit, but like
right.
I don't know, maybe there's something here for it to do well. I don't think it'll do Oppenheimer numbers because Oppenheimer just cost $300 million.
Yeah,
not
no.
movies make that much
That
money.
ain't happening.
Which is insane. Can we talk about how insane that is?
It's so insane. I love it so much in terms of like
Barbenheimer
adult
for you.
dramas. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like it's gonna be cool to see Christopher Nolan and Greta Gerwig at like different award shows, shaking each other's hands, being like, "Thank you."
Yeah.
It's gonna be very wholesome. Because like I think Oppenheimer would have made half the money it did if it wasn't for the Barbie thing. Honestly.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Like I still think it would have been over 100 million because obviously it's Nolan and Nolan's an established name for people, but like 300 million for a biopic of the man who created the nuclear bomb that's an insane world that we live in. Like that is a weird alternative future.
Yeah, send a packed IMAX theater for that's kind of insane.
Yeah.
It was crazy how packed like my screenings were as well.
It's like did that movie make more? I think it made more money than Inception and Interstellar. Like, pretty sure. That's crazy. It's like one of the highest grossing movies. And like looking at it, you'd think it would probably be one of like on the lower end just because, you know, it's a biopic about the guy who made the bomb. So it's not like it's a huge draw in that regard, you know. So it's very interesting. But yeah, and then also, do you think that Dune still has a good shot at doing Oscars, especially above the line for 2024, even though it's in March?
I think the fact that it has like the first quarter of the year to itself, basically like the first half of the year to itself, if it's gonna like build steam, I think that it could survive off of that.
Yeah.
especially if like other things move. Because I mean, here's the thing. I still think they should do it. They should put it in June so that they could have an out of competition Cannes premiere. But in having it in March, like the first half of the year, and like just because I mean, let's be real. The other movies that are coming out in March, they're not gonna be a thing. Like I know Mickey 17 is Bong Joon Ho. I don't think he's gonna get lightning in a bottle twice for that.
I think that's my most anticipated movie of next year. I think it's going to be incredible.
They should also move that.
I don't think that that's getting in the picture though.
It's not. No.
And there's going to be a lot of people who I think call that pretty early, but it's like Bong Joon Ho's like Parasite accidentally won Best Picture.
It
feels like
yeah,
it was like cultural wave.
It just happened to be like the second coming of Christ.
Yeah, like it was legitimately just like everyone praised it as like, oh, this is the single greatest film ever made. Like it was undeniable. Like Bong Joon Ho had made incredible movies back to back before Parasite that did nothing.
Yeah.
Memories of Murder, The Host, Snowpiercer.
Yeah, nobody really like. I mean, I guess Okja like made like the visual effects shortlist, and some people thought that would happen, but. I mean, still, like
Okja's his worst movie. So. I mean, that's a whole side thing.
Barking Dogs Never Bite is right there.
My thing is, my thing is with this strike and whatnot. Are we going to have movies for like late 2024? I mean, let's say this goes. We'll just have to see how long these strikes are going to go. But if like nothing films for the rest of this year, and we only start filming new projects in like early 2024, and so let's say Dune, I don't know. I can see a world where Mickey 17 gets in because there's like literally nothing else.
Well, that's like, kind of what the argument for Air is right now.
Yeah,
and we kind of said that about 2020, and then it ended up that like a lot of movies came out at the end of 2020, regardless of the pandemic.
Yeah, also, like, I mean, it depends on what type of movie it is. If it's like a smaller, like, independent movie, they probably could get it out by the end of the year. Or just kind of a smaller movie in general that doesn't require, like, an insane amount of visual effects work. But if it's something like big, then, like, yeah, I would probably expect it to move.
If I was Warner Bros., personally, I would have kept Dune and moved to Color Purple. I think that would have been
that might have been
because like I feel like the Color Purple is going to be the thing you want to sell to general audiences with the cast showing up on talk shows and talking about it. Like I just don't think anyone's going to know that movie's out. It's going to come out. And
I'll say this though. I'll say this. I think people do know what that is. Like there is like a built-in black audience for that movie. Like a lot of black moviegoers are going to go see the movie, and they'll make it like a good chunk of the movie's box office will come from black audience members. I still believe that, and I think like it's a popular enough IP to where like people can recognize it's like, oh, that was on Broadway, and they might be interested in seeing that. Also, like, let's not forget Oprah's attached to this.
I was just about to say there was like an Essence Fest in like New Orleans a couple weeks ago. She was there along with the director, and they were talking about it. Oprah's going to do a lot of the promoting, I guess, when that's going to be their plan. And I don't know, I guess keeping that Christmas date, it's something that, in my opinion, a lot of marketing seems like this isn't your mom's Color Purple. We're telling a story for a new generation. Adults, grandparents.
Bold new vision, as it says in the trailer.
Yeah, bring your kids, bring your whole family, like you would like a good Christmas movie, to go see The Color Purple, see this new telling. The people who grew up with it in the 80s will reminisce on the story, and then the younger audiences will find a new classic told in a new way. And then that Christmas date 100%. Will help it even more.
And also, like, I mean, not that this is like, I mean, I know that like you guys are gonna be like, oh well, this movie kind of flopped last year, but like, I mean, Steven Spielberg is also attached to this movie, which that doesn't like that's not nothing.
And Maestro, he's behind that.
Oh, yeah.
that movie.
I think. Look, we can talk about that. Oh, and I'm sure Gold Derby horses. We're going to be talking about it a lot, right?
Yeah, we talked about it.
George, I have to call you out here. That movie's getting nominated for Best Picture. There's no way. There is no way. There's no way.
I'm about to turn
It is
to
the
Kendall.
most Oscar bait thing I've ever seen.
Wait,
It's
Kendall
Netflix's
Roy.
big
I'm
contender.
about to turn to Kendall Roy.
And look, I agree. I'm not that excited for it. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh my gosh, it's gonna be me and Tristan against the world, isn't it?
Yeah, no. Like, I don't.
It
I don't
looks
have
pretty.
I don't have anything against it. I'm just not a huge fan of *A Star Is Born*, and it doesn't do anything to really entice me other than that. So, like,
George,
I don't know. I think it looks fine, but it is the most Oscar thing I've ever seen. Like, that trailer's like, how would this not get nominated? I don't know. Like, even if it's like 75 on Rotten Tomatoes and a 60 Metacritic, I would be like, yeah, no, I still feel like it's gonna get in.
We'll see. It premieres in Venice in a couple of days. I will say, George, though, Carey Mulligan is top billing. That is your woman, so you're gonna have you're gonna have a good. I think you'll be able to go through that movie and survive it unscathed. Like, yeah.
George, it might be a West Side Story situation to where like you're like kind of against it at first and it wins over. You never know. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm open to it impressing me. That's the thing.
So, this is a film. Okay. There's a lot here to unpack with everything you just said.
Even the controversy, like, ooh.
So the movie did not. Some people saw early cuts of the movie, test screenings, all that stuff, and they were like, meh. And I was like, oh my god, we're in for another The Sun with this one. We're in for another, just like
Empire
kind
of
of
Light.
Yeah, Empire of Light, kind of like a failure of an awards movie. But the reactions, they were not bad. They were just mid. And I mean, you kind of got to realize at some point, like, it's gonna get in for makeup, and like, Bradley Cooper's probably likely getting in. There's like images, like, you heard things like oh, maybe cinematography, 4:3 aspect ratio, black and white, and all that stuff. This movie's only partly in black and white, which kind of side tangent. A lot of movies this year are in both color and black and white. Oppenheimer, Maestro, Poor Things,
Asteroid City.
Maybe Bike Riders, not 100% confirmed.
Maybe.
Let's hope that Bike Riders is all in black and white. Come on, do it. Just do it. Sorry.
Yeah, just a lot of stuff that uses both color and black and white. But anyway, we see the trailer there. I did see the trailer there where I was like, oh shit. Like, my first thought was like, I'm gonna have to put this in cinematography, aren't I? And yeah, and then like once Dune moved, I was like, I think I just gotta do it. Now look, if it premieres on Saturday, right? So if it premieres and it gets like a 60 on Metacritic, I'm gonna be like, God damn it, I was right all along. You gaslighted me.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say it right here. If it gets a 60 on Metacritic, I still think it might get in. Okay.
I mean,
just like think about Elvis.
Think about like Elvis, yeah.
Yeah, like
okay, but Elvis made like $200 million.
That's fair, but like it's also like a big budgeted Netflix movie, and it's gonna be the thing that they push the most. Like I don't see why it wouldn't be.
I guess unless like Rustin gets really good reviews, or Naya just is like, oh my god, that's amazing.
Like if Mastro comes out and it's like a 28% on Rotten Tomatoes, like The Sun, I'm gonna be like, okay, well George was right on this. But I still think if it gets like a 75, I'm gonna be like, I still think it could get in, because like I think there's a mistake that we make each year with Oscar predicting, I can't speak tonight, is I think we forget that I mean, and I don't mean to call Maestro this Maestro. I can't speak.
Maestro.
Maestro. I don't mean to call it this without seeing it or even just like discredit.
Yeah, I mean,
but
I want to make
the
it
Academy
clear.
nominates lame movies a lot. They do. Like,
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Elvis that you mentioned earlier.
Well, like Darkest Hour. Like, why did that?
Oh, Darkest Hour sucked.
Belfast.
Yeah. Like they're not going to always nominate the movies that we want them to.
Yeah, The Post was kind of here's what I'll say. I don't want to prescribe this movie as being like bad or mid, like right off the bat, even if it sounds like that's what I'm doing. Because like I mean, as you said earlier, like I was kind of like what with West Side Story. I mean, that one was more like, oh, why we don't need this to be made? Like, why do we need another West Side Story? More than like I thought it was going to be bad or something like that. Like sure, things can win me over sometimes, but I mean, it just something about it just does not really scream like in for picture or something like that, or something that like everyone's just gonna love. I think like, I mean, it looks pretty. It looks pretty. I'm sure it'll have good performances, but how will that matter if the movie is boring? Like has been reported from the test screenings, it's boring, or the script is not great, or it's just not really like it's just kind of mid. Which we'll find out on Saturday, I guess. I mean, I did. There are some people who seem to like it, at least from what I can tell. Like some of the more recent Letterboxd ratings from people who dared actually rate it seem better than like the old ones. But like I don't know, like I don't really want to like put that into like my consideration here.
Yeah.
Because like that's risky. As far as like controversy goes, like I mean, we can talk about Carrie Mulligan playing, Latina, white Latina, when she is not one herself. What I'll say about that is, I thought that would maybe be a thing against her and also the movie, but you got to realize Javier Bardem had an arguably worse controversy for being the Ricardos, and he got nominated anyway, and his performance was fucking terrible too. So, I'm sorry, it was terrible.
I just heard that movie. Everyone was like, "It's so boring," and I just didn't have the energy to watch it.
Yeah,
I never saw Being the Ricardos either. I skipped it.
Yeah, good idea. But like Bardem was like playing someone who was like a person of color, and I mean, let's just be honest, he's not. Mulligan is at least playing someone who is white, which is better, but at the same time, like I mean, I don't really agree with like that idea, like because there's a lot of white Latino actors who want a role, who would kill for a role like that, and then like you're just gonna hire this British woman who very talented, a lot of people like her, but like you're kind of taking away an opportunity from an underrepresented group, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And but the family seems to be perfectly fine with her casting, and I read a Deadline Hollywood article about the movie, and apparently she went to Chile to meet with the woman's family, and it's like, so clearly they're fine with it too. So if the family is not against the casting, then like I think that gives that kind of gives people permission to vote for her if she's good enough. And but that's not even all. Like people talk about Bradley Cooper and his like the nose, right? Which I'm gonna say right here, the nose looks bad. Like at least in like the younger parts, like it looks like a Halloween costume. Looks like it came off of a Groucho Marx mask. It just does not look good.
Bradley Cooper shopping at Spirit Halloween.
Which is so funny because
but-
that interview that George is talking about is like he lived with that. The producers are like he practically lived with the makeup designer for like 3 years to perfect his look and try on the makeup, make sure it got the screen test, and everyone's like, nope, it's still bad.
3 years.
I've heard 3 years.
Here's another. Yeah, but here's another thing about that. A similar thing that happened with Carrie Mulligan and her casting. Number one, the family's okay with this. The family approves of this. But even more, like the Anti-Defamation League came out and said, "No, this is fine. This is fine." And the Anti-Defamation League is like, I think it's I want to make sure actually. Anti-Defamation League. It combats like anti-Semitism, and it's like technically a Jewish service organization. So it's like a primarily like Jewish oriented thing. It seems like, and they're saying that Bradley Cooper wearing a nose to look more like a stereotypically Jewish man is okay. So again, I think it's a situation where if those guys say it's okay, that kind of gives people permission to not think about it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's just like the Academy has. It seems like the Academy. We always feel like they're going to be offended by things that they aren't.
Yeah. I think that's something we really like. I mean, I'm guilty of this too, right?
Yeah.
We I mean, we kind of said it like about Amsterdam, like, oh, David O. Russell has allegations, like they're not going to pay attention to that, and it's like, yeah, they didn't, but also the movie was not good, and nobody watched.
It's one of the things. It's like Alexander Payne also has some allegations, but like it's not going to matter in the whole movie.
Yeah, I mean, they're just not very high profile. Is the thing, and like I've seen some people argue that Payne like. He denies them, and he like some people seem to believe him. I'm not going to say that I do, because like number one, the vast majority of like sexual assault allegations are real, just like every other crime. But also, like, I mean, there's just no way of knowing, really and truly. Like the best thing you could do is just believe the accuser until proven otherwise. But either way, like if people don't know about it, or there's just not enough like evidence in either direction, no one's gonna care.
Yeah, it's just, I think at that point it's just like, well, we can't really prosecute anything for and it just kind of falls by the wayside.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So yeah, do you guys have any other like film festival movies that you're anticipating? Maybe something a little under the radar that you want?
Well, the Nashville Film Festival announced their lineup recently.
Yeah,
I took a look at it. Was hoping that we would get Anatomy of a Fall from the Zone of Interest. We're not. But
one of them's going to be the mystery movie or whatever.
I don't see, well, I didn't see one on the site, so I don't know if there's going to be one this year. They have a couple can titles. They have La Chimera, they have Fallen Leaves, they have The Pot of Faux, which has since been renamed to The Taste of Things. It also has the French title of The Passionné d'Odin Bouffon, which, again, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Probably not. That's going to be a thing. But they've also got Fingernails there, which is interesting. That might be like the biggest movie that's there. They're playing Flora and Son from Sundance. They're playing I Used to Be Funny, which has Rachel Sennett, and there's something else. Eileen, that went to Sundance, and some people kind of like. It's a mostly local festival, or it's
Yeah,
a
but
largely festival at least.
that's a pretty good lineup though. Actually,
Yeah.
I mean, better than last year. I mean, last year had After Sun, but like I didn't really bother to go because I had seen it by that point. Also, like just a couple other things. This year, like we're getting can titles and we're getting like fingernails and Flora and Sun and stuff. I think I'm gonna have to go try and go see fingernails at least.
Yes. I will say there is a movie that's going to be at Venice, Origin by Ava DuVernay.
Yeah.
It doesn't have like a distributor, but it has a cast, and it's a for Ava DuVernay's like next big fiction scripted like movie. It has like John Berthel, Nick Offerman, Ajanou Ellis, Vera Farmiga, like kind of like a big cast, but it doesn't even have like a distributor or anything yet. So if it like happens to just do really well and like someone picks it up, I don't know who, because I feel like every single studio has a lot on their plate. I don't know. I can watch that be like a big bomb of like, oh guys, this is good. This could be something. Who's gonna pick it up?
Yeah. I'm looking to see when that's supposed to play at Venice.
I have it right here. It's gonna be at September 6th at 7:15 Venice time.
whoa.
Oh, that's late in the fest. Yeah.
You know what's crazy? I'll be in Toronto by then.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, wild.
The Killer could be something. That's only in Venice though, so
That's what I was gonna say because like at first like the fact that it was a Venice competition title was like oh there's something there, but it's only at Venice. It's not New York. It's not at Toronto. So I tell you right. So I don't know what's happening with that movie.
I think Fincher's a big enough name to where it'll do well without festivals.
and
Yeah.
then
I'm thinking,
I mean, people
Yes.
will watch it.
yeah.
and then there's another movie at TIFF that I think could be really interesting called American Fiction. It's Jeffrey Wright as an author. I'm just going to read the description from my box. His writing career has stalled because his work isn't deemed black enough, so he writes a satirical novel under a pseudonym, aiming to expose the publishing world's hypocrisies. The book gets popular and everything changes in his life. That kind of like this drama. I love Jeffrey Wright as an actor, so it could be just, if it does really well, like total like one-man show. I don't know, but I feel like hey, it could do well.
Yeah, maybe. Just kind of thinking about like, I mean, that movie sounds very interesting. I would like to see an image for it.
Oh, the guy who directed it worked on Watchmen and was part of the writing staff for Succession. So that's interesting.
Interesting.
Which types me up.
I'm excited for Hitman at TIFF.
The Linklater.
Yeah, Linklater with Glenn Powell, and they worked on it together. It seems like because I am a really big fan of Boyhood. That's a whole other man. That's a controversial thing to say in some parts of this community, but I'm a really big fan of that movie, and I love all of Linklater's films pre-Boyhood and then now post-Boyhood. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I wasn't huge on Everybody Wants Somebody or whatever that was. And that's like right up my alley. So it was weird that I did not resonate with that, but I really didn't. And like Last Flag Flying was like whatever. But like, well, no, Apollo 10.5 was good. It was good. But it really does seem like Hitman is like, this sounds weird, but like maybe his most fleshed out project in a while. Because it really does seem like some of the other movies are like kind of afterthoughts. I don't know if that makes sense, but they seem like just kind of little experiments he was working with. and it seems very much like this one is like a movie, like in every traditional sense. Because like Linklater has always like with Slacker or something like that, like experimented, made quirky little movies like that. But then you know you have something like the Before trilogy or School of Rock and Boyhood that feel like fully realized projects. And I don't know, I have that vibe from it. And I think Lin Powell working on it's really cool too. And so I'm interested to see. I also think it's interesting because like I knew people were kind of talking about it, but like it has over 1,000 on TIFR as well. So well, people are like really watching out for that movie in particular.
Yeah, that one premieres at Venice on September 5th. Also goes to TIFF in New York.
Cool.
Yeah.
hasn't-
That's
yeah, right?
interesting. Yeah. I think it was originally rumored to be going to Cannes. It was going to go into like people were talking about it maybe being in competition. But that didn't end up happening. I wonder why it's not in Venice competition, because that seems like that could maybe be a potential. That could have been an opening night, because the actual opening night movie at TIFF, not TIFF, at Venice, was this Italian movie, and apparently it's not very good. For people who've already reviewed it, so I don't know, like why not select that, especially in Challenger's absence, like just select like Hitman, you know, like and put it and like why is it not in competition, right? But like these festivals do like very strange things, like
Hitman hasn't even been bought yet. That's what I've heard, right? Like it's still looking even.
yeah, but like you could put it in competition at Venice. Origin's not been bought yet, and that's in competition.
Yeah.
I mean, like it just seems kind of weird because these festivals are just kind of strange. Like Cannes last year had like some bad movies in competition. From what I understand, like what was that one? Tori and Lokita and like Stars at Noon. I mean, I know like it's like the Dardenne brothers and Claire Denis, but like you know, like other movies, like you know, trying to think of a good one, like Corsage. I mean, I don't love that movie, but that would have been a better competition title than fucking Tori and Lokita, right?
Yeah. It wasn't like Sing at TIFF 1 year too. Like they do weird things like that sometimes.
Yeah, these festivals are just kind of strange.
Speaking of Sing, okay, this is a completely different tangent. I have to make my case somewhere.
I know where this is going.
Migration's gonna be good, guys. Like you aren't ready for this. I think people aren't ready for migration being good, but I think it's gonna be fantastic. I have had this theory, and I have to make my case here. So, well, I'm gonna actually, you know what? We're just gonna take some time, okay? When I saw the Super Mario Bros. Movie, I saw a trailer for a movie called Migration. Had some ducks in it. It was one of the worst trailers I've ever seen because the trailer was, remember those people that brought you Minions and Mario and Hop? Here's a new movie by them. It has ducks in it. Okay, see you later. And I was like, that was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. What is happening with this movie? So I looked it up online. What is Migration? Directed by the guy who made Ernest and Celestine, which was a very acclaimed French animated film. And it's written by Jack White. Wait, no, sorry.
Mike White.
Jack White. Can you imagine if Jack White from the White Stripes wrote a movie? That'd be great. Mike White. Sorry, apologies.
That'd be interesting.
That'd be interesting. Mike White, who wrote some episodes of Freaks and Geeks and School of Rock and
The White Lotus.
The White Lotus, and it's just an
I'll say this though. I just watched the first season of White Lotus. I'm gonna watch season 2 this week. To be honest, I think it's a little bit overhyped from the first season, at least.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's fine. It's good and all, but I think like some people said that like Barbie was really unsubtle and preachy with his commentary. Like this one's, I mean, it's not so much preachy, but it's about as unsubtle as it gets, and it's not really that deep.
Yeah.
Which Barbie's, you can say Barbie's not very deep, but I think Barbie's a little bit deeper than the White Lotus.
I think it did. I think people misinterpret what Barbie is actually saying when they say it's not deep.
Yeah.
But
Like
we
White,
talked about that for like 40 minutes.
White Lotus is no Succession.
Yeah.
Let's just say that it's no Succession.
But what I'll say is Mike White is the sole writer for this movie. It is directed by a acclaimed French director. And Illumination isn't pushing it everywhere. Do you see ducks anywhere? Do you see those ducks anywhere? No, you don't. Okay. When Secret Life of Pets were coming out, you saw pets everywhere. When Sing was coming out, you saw Sing everywhere. When Minions are still around. Minions still exist. Minions still invade our brains. There's an entire section for them at Universal. I see them all the time. There's no ducks. There's no ducks. You want to know why there's no ducks? It's because this movie's actually good and they don't know how to promote it. I have this theory. This is like this like emotional like Pixar level film that like is incredible. And Illumination's like, we don't know what to do with this because we can't just like sell fart jokes. What are we supposed to do? Oh, we're the Minion people. Go see our movie that's gonna make you sad. I have this theory. And maybe this movie comes out and it ends up being a generic kids movie, and this sounds dumb. But the more and more I think about it, I'm like, does Migration get into animated feature? Does Migration get into picture? I'm kidding about the last part, but get into animated feature. But watch. Everyone in the chat owes me $20 if Migration gets nominated for Best Picture.
That would just be like, that would be an interesting turn of events.
Can you imagine if we're like, oh, it's The Boy and the Heron, oh, it's Spider-Verse, and it's Migration?
God almighty.
And also, here's the thing. I have to say this. Illumination is the top dog when it comes to the animated industry right now. For success, for financial success, they're doing way better than Disney and Pixar. So it is time for them to experiment and not make the same movie over and over again. So we'll see. We'll see. Go see Migration. I should buy like a Migration t-shirt, be their opening night. I'm gonna cheer it on. It's gonna be the greatest film ever made. That and Five Nights at Freddy's both getting into picture, I think. So maybe that. And Slaughterhouse. Yeah. Even though I kind of want to see Slaughterhouse, but I was so burned by Cocaine Bear that I just don't know if I'm going to go around and see it. Because like Cocaine Bear should have been fun, and it really wasn't. Yeah. This was a big tangent. Do you guys have anything else you'd like to say about that?
Priscilla, we didn't really talk about that one. We're excited for it.
Which is weird because Sophia Coppola stan sitting with you guys today.
Priscilla, I think it's gonna be good. Like, it's gonna be better than Elvis. Which, I mean, keep in mind, I don't like Elvis. I'm already not the biggest fan of him as a singer. Not that I think he's a bad singer, but like, I'm just not a fan. But like, look. Here's the thing. I hate Moulin Rouge. I don't like The Great Gatsby. So
see, I agree with you, but I don't mind Elvis. I think it's his best movie.
That's kind of like being the tallest kid in kindergarten, you know?
Yeah, sure.
Or like being the best Republican.
But like, look,
really like not that impressive.
But look. His take on Tangled might slap. Might be interesting.
Again, I don't think that movie should even be made anyway. But
It shouldn't. It shouldn't be made. But if it is made, at least that'll be interesting than Rob Marshall. No
Yeah.
offense to Rob.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. It looks a little small, but I think it's gonna be so good as well.
Yeah, look. Obviously, Kaylee Spaney is. I mean, I could technically just say she's from my hometown. I mean, I'm in a bedroom community of where she's from, so it'd be cool if we got award stuff because I have mutual friends who are friends with her. Missouri represent. Woo, woo. So I'm hoping. Also, Sofia Coppola is one of my favorite filmmakers of all time. Lost in Translation is one of my all-time favorite movies. Virgin Suicides is up there as well. Mary Antoinette, while I don't love the movie as much as some people do, the soundtrack is one of the greatest things I've ever listened to. And apparently, what I've heard is that the Priscilla soundtrack is similar to the Virgin Suicide soundtrack. Apparently, there's no Elvis songs in it, which is actually kind of rad in this situation.
I think it's because the Elvis estate didn't give them permission.
Oh, they're gonna hate this movie.
Which means it's gonna be good.
Yeah.
Well, like I think it should be noted that like Elvis was also like not a very good person.
I mean,
Which
look,
this movie is like looking to explore.
Elvis dated a child.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, I think the movie's that's the thesis of that movie is like Priscilla
Like,
was way too young.
Obviously, like Priscilla Presley is approving of it. Like she's like doing like photo ops with Sofia Coppola, but like the estate hates this movie, so it's like, oh, that means it's good.
Yeah, it's
Basically.
just like I'm imagining a ballroom scene that they're dancing to "Ice Blink Luck" from the Cocteau Twins. That's the vibe I want. Okay,
Yeah.
make it happen.
I also love the fact that like Jacob Elordi can promote Elvis and he can't promote Saltburn. And he probably will get more attention for Saltburn, but he has to just be like, because of the strikes, be like, hey, go watch Elvis, you guys. Go watch Priscilla, you guys.
I just like.
I don't know like how he's gonna be
Priscilla
as like
might
an
end up doing
Elvis.
I think it might end up doing better than we expect. I don't see it
So
as a thing, but like
I think the movie. I think honestly. I mean, the fact that it's centerpiece in New York, I think, is worth maybe like keeping in the back of your head. But Sofia Coppola, honestly, she just doesn't really make movies that the Oscars like to nominate all the time, which is not a knock against her. I'm not as big of a fan as Brett is. I'm not a fan of On the Rocks. Did not like the Bling Ring. I think Lost in Translation is very good. I think Virgin Suicides is very good. I haven't seen Marie Antoinette, and I probably should at some point.
I think you would like it, but it's definitely more of a practice of style than substance. But the
Yeah.
style it's one of the coolest aesthetics I've seen in a
Yeah,
movie.
and
I have some of
I
my
also
favorite-
have not seen The Beguiled, which
I haven't seen The Beguiled either, but I hear
and
like from some stands
yeah.
that it's like underratedly one of her best movies.
yeah, and Somewhere is good. Like overall, like for the most part, I think she's good. I don't think this movie's gonna be bad. I just don't think that this is like just because it's a biopic, it's like okay, like she just doesn't really make those types of films. She's very interested in doing her own thing.
Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, like, also, like, I think another issue maybe could be like people are just kind of tired of Elvis already after the Elvis movie last year. Like,
Yeah,
people are like, we're getting another Elvis movie? What?
It's gonna be a much different looking Elvis movie.
It is, but like, I think some people are just getting here. It's like, we're getting another Elvis Presley movie? What's happening? Yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of I just don't think that this movie is like it's not a King Richard. You know what I'm saying? It's not. It's not even necessarily a. What's a good example? It's just not like an Oscars biopic, you could say. But something that also kind of worries me a little bit. The slot that it's in at Venice is a very similar slot that The Sun had last year, and a couple of other like Venice flops have had. I'm not going to read into it too much, but I don't know.
They really make the spots and go, oh, we're going to put the bomb in there. You know what I mean? I don't know if that.
I think that's like I think that's a little bit worrisome.
Just like maybe The Sun was actually good, and we all slept on it.
Oh my
That
god!
was a joke. I haven't seen The Sun. I don't think I'll probably ever see The Sun.
You don't have to.
But what I'm saying is, like, do you think that like programmers go, oh, we got a bomb here, or we're going to put it on Saturday at 3 p.m. Like, do you think that's how it works?
To be honest, I don't know. It's just like kind of something that happens. Like maybe they think like maybe like they show it to other people and they're like, this isn't like great. I don't think a lot of people are gonna like this. Let's kind of put it in a slot where less people will watch it. I don't know. To be perfectly honest, but maybe I just have flashbacks to like The Sun last year because a lot of people said like, oh, The Sun's a late premiere. Is that is that a bad sign? And I just remember being like, who cares, right? But then it ended up being bad. So I don't know. Maybe people were onto something back then.
Well, like, I guess programmers have seen it by now, right?
Yeah. Well, surely, yeah. Like Alberto Barbera has probably seen it.
It's interesting that you'd be like, let's put it in late. And,
but like I also need to be like need to humble myself a little bit here because Ferrari's in like a tar position last year, and I have already said on here I don't think that is as good as some people think it's going to be. So I don't know.
Well, I guess we'll have to have another episode where we talk about how these films work out. Work, you know.
Poor things, guys.
The podcast episode after like at least Telluride and all these film festivals, and you just dig through the reactions. It's gonna be so much fun.
So, here's something that I'm going to announce on the podcast. I think Tristan and I are going to try to do like reactions to movies we see and post them onto the channel at TIFF. So those will be trickling on the page. So you guys will see our instant reactions, and then we'll come back and talk about them in more detail on another episode. But yeah, that's going to be happening next week. Holy crap.
I'm so excited for you guys. Oh my gosh.
Okay, anyways. Hopefully the hurricanes are cleared up by then.
Yay.
Well, actually, it wasn't bad today. It was actually kind of nice. I'm not gonna lie. You barely feel Florida at 70 degrees, and it was just like bliss.
This is why I can't live in Florida, because you guys rarely go below 80.
No, it was nice. It was like because so many times, like I want to do something, and I'm so tired. I'm just gonna go to bed, right? Mm-hmm. I was walking from work, and I was like, I still have energy. What is happening? What is my life? Oh yeah, it doesn't always have to be 96 degrees. I forgot what it felt like to not be 96 degrees. Bliss. Anyways, let's have more hurricanes. No, I'm just kidding. Let's not really not have more hurricanes.
Just move from Florida. Just move out of Florida.
Yeah, I mean,
you don't want to be there with Ron DeSantis as governor anyway.
Yeah. it's just like it's kind of pathetic. Like not to get political here. That dude's so pathetic. Like
He is. Oh my god.
it's really funny. Like the debate, like it was rough. It's
Oh
like,
yeah.
like because there was this moment I think like a few months ago. Well, I would say probably like 6 or 7 months ago where I was like kind of getting concerned he could actually like get the Republican nominee, and I was like, please don't. And now I'm just like, no, that's not happening.
Dude, this,
It's rough.
at least you know what? I'll say this. I don't like any of these guys. Just to be clear, I don't like any of those guys on the stage. But you know, at least he's not that what's his name, Vivek Ramaswamy or something, who who performed "Lose Yourself" poorly, might I add, and then Eminem gave him a cease and desist.
So good, so good. I think the fact that like Chris Christie is the most reasonable of them should tell you why.
Yeah, for real.
like what universe do we live in? I can't even deal with this anymore.
Exactly. Like, freaking like Mike Pence is like just super religious and you know just talking out of his ass. Nikki Haley's a neocon. Doug Burgum, Tim Scott, H. Hedges, they're all asleep. You know.
Yeah, it's just, there are no good options. Not on either side. There's no good options anymore.
We need Bernie again.
Yeah, I mean,
we need Bernie again.
I think he's probably done though, which is sad, but whatever.
Yeah.
It's what it is. Anyways, that was a good thing. I think that was our episode. Do you guys want to add anything else?
I got nothing.
Get ready for fall season, guys. It's coming. The ups and downs.
I can't wait. Sorry, I did not.
No, I was just gonna say, just keep on following us. Like we said before, Brett and Tristan, Ian are gonna be at TIFF, so we'll have lots of info coming your way. Stay tuned.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a Workshopping Humanity podcast. We are still at the Toy Box domain, toyboxd.com. Follow our content there. Follow us at workshopping_humanity. You can follow me at skipper_Scott. Have a link tree of my projects there. I am starting my own personal YouTube page as well that is in development right now. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be one of those things where, like, you know how those YouTubers have, like, they take, like, a month and then they make, like, a 20-minute video about something? Like, that's the goal. That's the plan. Like, this is going to be where the content's at, and that's going to be where, like, other things are at. So, like, we should follow it. And yeah, so that's what I have to say, I guess. And what I'm going to say is get ready for when we count down our 10 best of the year, and all of us have migration at number one. George, where can people find you?
In your dreams. So I'm living in your walls right now. Probably, chances are. No. My Instagram is George Alex there. I don't post anything. So just follow me on my letterbox, George A. I have the Nathan Fielder on strike profile picture.
Heck yeah, we were talking about off. This is a weird side tangent. Jared and I were talking about off before the podcast how good the curse is going to be. It's going to be like the best thing ever.
We need to like group watch it and like talk about it every single week, and
we need to do like a watch series of the rehearsal again.
Yeah, because I haven't seen it yet, so it would be.
Oh my god, dude!
I know I need to. I
Holy
need to.
shit!
So force me to watch it before the curse. I'm
The
down.
rehearsal is my favorite thing that's come out in the 2020s. Like I put it above any movie I've seen.
Whoa!
So you should watch it.
That's okay because that's me with We Are Who We Are. Also
Yeah.
HBO show, so HBO still be where it's at.
And they got Succession, everybody.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of people who come across this will have seen it. But Brett, Jared, you need to get on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jared, you gotta watch all of Nathan for you because it's just a good time.
Yeah.
Oh my god, Nathan for you is like top 10 shows of all time.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and look, it's so funny, and it's so, and then it's Finding Francis at the end, and it's like one of the best movies ever made.
Well, it's not really a film, but yeah.
Yeah, but like I don't count it because like obviously this is a lot of factors, but like if I put it in my 50 favorite movies, like it would be there somewhere, like probably in the 20. It's great.
Yeah.
Anyways, Jared, where can people find you? Not to go off on a tangent.
No, Nathan Fielder, he deserves it. I'm on Letterboxd at jfilmlover20, and then my Instagram is jmovielover. So yeah, you can find me on both those places. I post more on Letterboxd, but yeah.
Yeah, awesome. And we will see you guys again in the next recording. Hopefully, we'll have like a whole team talking about the movies. So yeah,
Woo.
see you later.
Bye.
Bye.